Alright. Before we get started with going around and questing and doing artifact stuff, I want to take you guys through the Arms Warrior's core abilities just for fun. I know a lot of you guys have probably seen this in my videos before, and we were looking through them already on stream, but I want to read through them sort of definitively real quick. So Battle Cry. Battle Cry is your 1 minute cooldown, one of your big offensive cooldowns. It grants you an additional 100% chance to critically strike for 5 seconds. I feel like that means that you're going to be critting 100% of the time, but some people are thinking it just doubles your crit rating, so we'll have to look at it out in combat. It was my impression that it makes every attack crit for the next 5 seconds. So for example, you know, pop this, Colossus Smash, double Mortal Strike into Execute, or Slam, if you have Slam active. Really powerful cooldown for all warrior specs. You still have Berserker Rage. You go Berserk, removing and granting immunity to Fear, Sap, and Incapacitate effects. And that's now a 1 minute cooldown. Unlike Fury, you don't have a way to make it a 30-second cooldown, so that's going to be something you have to use wisely. Charge, once again, Charge, it's a, you know, pretty standard charge. It's a 20-second cooldown, and it roots people, generates 20 rage. You can take double time if you want to in the talents. Cleave is a little bit different. It's a 10 rage ability on a 6-second cooldown that attacks all enemies in front of you, and for each target up to 5 hit, your next Whirlwind will deal up to 20% more damage. And Whirlwind deals a fair amount of damage as it is. It deals about not quite less than half as much as Mortal Strike, about half as much as Colossus Smash, but it can deal as much as Colossus Smash in AoE if you stack it up with the Cleave. So if you hit 5 targets with Cleave, your next Whirlwind's going to really rock people if they're standing close to you. You have Colossus Smash. Colossus Smash is like the Arms Warrior ability right now. It's on a 45-second cooldown on its own, but don't let it fool you, because if you look at your Tactician passive, like, all of your abilities have a chance to reset the cooldown of Colossus Smash. Slam, Whirlwind, and Execute. So you're going to be using Slam a lot. You can use Whirlwind, and Execute, of course, has the opportunity as well. You're going to be using Execute less often, though. But anyway, it deals a ton of damage and increases the damage that you deal to them by 108 for 6 seconds. And this damage that you deal to them and the amount of damage it does is scaled by your mastery. So your mastery right now increases the Colossus Smash by a certain amount and causes it to deal a certain amount of extra damage to your target, your attacks afterwards. So keep that in mind, that this is going to scale nicely and be reset often. So Commanding Shout is, once again, this is like Fury. It gives you a 15% increased maximum health for 10 seconds, just like Rallying Cry. It's on a 3-minute cooldown though, so use that wisely as well. Defensive Stance. Defensive Stance now is a toggle. So you'll see I can toggle between Defensive Stance and Battle Stance. Defensive Stance makes you, it reduces the damage that you take, but also reduces the damage that you deal, so you need to use that wisely as well. I think that that doesn't really give me any reason to think that you don't generate rage in Defensive Stance now from dealing auto attack, so that's kind of cool. Execute is pretty much what it's always been for arms. It only costs 10 rage to deal an amount of damage, but you can use more rage to make it deal more damage. It doesn't seem like it's going to be hitting for gigantic amounts, just because even if you get, you know, maximum additional damage, it's going to hit. That additional damage is about as much as a Colossus Smash and a Whirlwind put together. So pretty good damage, but I don't think it's going to be dealing like massive numbers like it does in WoD. A Hamstring's still there. I don't know if this is going to be on the global cooldown or not, but it's pretty much what it always has been. We'll test it out. Heroic Leap, 45-second cooldown. You can take Bounding Stride to make your cooldown reduced and have it make you run faster, but you also have to choose between Impending Victory, which is a Slam. A Slam has a chance to heal you for 10% of your health, which is a lot of health, so that's something to look at. Or Die by the Sword, which is a huge defensive cooldown, so keep that one in mind as well. We'll go through talents in a second. But you also have Heroic Throw, which is just, you know, a very small amount of damage at a short range, just something to keep people in combat or pull mobs. Mortal Strike, definitely, you know, textbook arms ability. It deals a fair amount of damage and reduces healing on the target for a certain amount of time. You know, not a big change there. One of the things that you can note, though, is you can take Mortal Combo, which makes Mortal Strike have 2 charges now, which is a talent I'm going to be experimenting with for sure. I talented into Overpower. Overpower seemed awesome as Fury. A lot of people have been clamoring to have Overpower back for arms. It does seem to be back for arms now, and it does a lot of damage too, so we're going to check that out. A lot of damage for not a lot of rage, you know, almost guaranteed crit too, so really powerful ability. I can definitely see myself using this a lot for arms. Pummel, same as it always has been. Rend is a talent, so I talented into Overpower and Rend. Rend deals like almost 35k damage, which is more than a Mortal Strike. So if you can just sort of tab rend, again, that's going to be a lot of damage on people. Stack up the meters, but also deal good damage. Shockwave, once again, that's a talent. You can choose between Shockwave, Stormbolt, or Sweeping Strikes. Sweeping Strikes is your AoE option. Stormbolt is your single target stun. Shockwave is your AoE melee stun. Pretty much the same as it always has been. Slam. Slam deals a fair amount of damage for 15 rage, but it also, keep in mind that you reset your Claw Smash cooldown with Slam potentially, and you also can potentially heal yourself with Slam as well, so that's a pretty useful ability. Victory Rush, whenever you kill something, you get to heal a lot, which is pretty nice. It's pretty much the same as it always has been. Whirlwind. Whirlwind costs 30 rage now. It deals a substantial amount of damage. Keep in mind you can stack that damage with this Cleave, as we saw. This is a talent that I already chose, Impending Victory right here. Makes my Slam have a chance to heal me. We already talked about the Mastery. You still have Seasoned Soldier, increases your damage by 10%. I took Second Wind as a talent too, and of course we know about Tactician. So those are the arm's abilities. In terms of the talents, we already saw Shockwave, Stormbolt, Sweeping Strikes. All these are pretty much behaving the way they used to, except this one now, it only makes Mortal Strike and Execute hit a second nearby target, but that's still a lot of damage in PvE if you don't need the stuns. For me, I chose Impending Victory, but you can either choose this, Bounding Stride, or Die by the Sword. Die by the Sword is as it usually is now. Increases your parry and it reduces damage taken by 30% for 8 seconds on a 2-minute cooldown, so if you need a really powerful defensive cooldown, that's an option. I'm kind of curious about how this is going to look, so I'm going to go ahead and use it while I'm messing around today. Dauntless. If you're running into rage problems, we already talked about how Arms only generates rage by, auto attacks. So if you're having problems generating enough rage to use your abilities, you can always try out Dauntless. I'm going to try out Overpower. But of course, if you like those big cooldowns that deal a lot of damage, Avatar is still an option for you. Behaving similarly as it does now, gets you out of roots. You deal 20% increased damage for 20 seconds on a 1.5-minute cooldown. So that's that. Second Wind, we already knew about this for Fury. I'm going to try it out. I like it for leveling. Double Time, if you want an extra charge, this is what talent to take. I think I'd probably end up using this for PvP. Imposing Roar. It increases the Commanding Shout. It makes you leech back health from dealing damage during the Commanding Shout window. It's a 3-minute cooldown. Probably not something I'm going to try. Maybe it would be useful in very specific situations. Not something I'm interested in right now. Fervor of Battle. Cleave and Whirlwind generate 2 rage for each target they hit. So if you have a ton of AoE, then you're going to be using Whirlwind and Cleave. Cleave to stack the damage of Whirlwind, Whirlwind to deal that damage. You're going to be getting a lot of rage back while you do that. It's going to be a lot of rage expenditure, but hey, if you can stack up the damage and have Fervor of Battle, then you can deal a lot of damage in an AoE scenario. I'm going to try out Rend. I like having more abilities rather than bigger cooldowns, at least right now. And I want to see how the damage feels while I'm leveling. Rend is cool. It's a talent that you have to pick, but you have to choose between Bladestorm or Rend. Although you can do Avatar Bladestorm again, so those of you guys who miss kind of having that opportunity to do that, you can go Avatar Bladestorm and do huge AoE damage on a cooldown there. So it's basically, augmenting your AoE rotation with rage generation, having another AoE option by tab rending, or having a big AoE cooldown. So this is kind of like your AoE tier, it looks like. Heroic Strike. Heroic Strike behaves like it does for Fury. You're basically using Heroic Strike off GCD, spending rage to make your next Mortal Strike deal that much more damage. So it is an option if you want like a huge hit. You can do that with Mortal Strike, stack up that damage. I'm not sure how worth that would be, but you never know until you try it. Well, it could be awesome, Bigger hits in PvP, that's always a good thing. Bigger burst is always a good thing. I'm going to choose Mortal Combo, though. I'd rather be able to press Mortal Strike twice. With all the abilities that I'm using, that I might not have enough rage or enough globals to use them all effectively, but I'm going to at least try it out. But double Mortal Strike sounds awesome. Titanic Might. This increases the duration of Colossus Smash by 200%, but it halves its effectiveness, so you're not going to be dealing as much % damage to your target, but it makes it for a longer period of time, so that's a decision you can make. I still think Mortal Combo is awesome. That's what I'm going to test out. I definitely encourage people to test out everything. I probably will be, but that's what I'm going to start with for now. Anger Management. For every 10 rage that you spend, reduces the remaining cooldown of... It says Recklessness, but it means Battle Cry by 1 second. So that's kind of cool if you want to, if you're doing a lot of damage, spending a lot of rage, it's making your cooldowns come back up faster. Opportunity Strikes. This one sounds fun. Your melee abilities have an up to 60% chance based on a target's missing health to trigger an extra attack that deals like 12k damage. That's about as much as a Whirlwind, or as much as a Slam. So you're basically getting a free attack a free substantial attack, and that chance increases as your target's lower and lower health. So, that's going to be pretty fun to try out in PvE at least. Probably something I could choose for PvP too. Ravager, definitely a PvE talent, pretty much exists the way it exists now in the game. You throw your axe out there, it does some AoE. Not something I'm ever going to use for PvP. One of these two would probably probably be what I use. This is just straight up more damage, so we're going to give that a try while we level. But that's pretty much the baseline for Arms Warrior abilities and talents as they exist now in the beta or the alpha. Things are subject to change, but I'm excited. Let's go start this artifact quest and start kicking some butt. Here we go.